This Detroit Lions betting preview edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Circus Sports. Circus Sports is giving away $14 million this NFL season. Sign up in Vegas and play from anywhere. Get all the info over at circusports.com. We're also brought to you by our Patreon. Score exclusive perks, content, and contests, including our NFL win totals contest with a $1,000 prize. Join today at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon.
Hey, this is Derek Stevens. I'm the owner of Circa Las Vegas. You're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Long, Cox.
He's one of those guys who will get penetration.
Ooh, welcome everyone to the Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, stacking the money green with my partner in picks, Ryan, Real Money Kramer. What's happening, Kramer?
Dog.
Well, Sean, we are near what I guess you can say 2/3 through the preview.
Yeah,
we are not 2/3 through the LaCroix in the closet, in the spare room, in the storage room. So those who took the heavily favored LaCroix to be tapped out before we tapped out the previews.
Tough look, Ryan. You gotta up your LaCroix consumption.
Well, and I'm even concerned because it's disappearing at a rapid rate. I'm even cutting back a little bit, trying to, the games are starting.
Everyone has their vice.
Well, you don't want to get too bloated for football season. There's nothing worse than having that feeling of shit take over your body because you've been watching football and drinking LaCroix all day long. The hangover is unbearable. Oh no, that doesn't happen to you.
No, Ryan, I do not deal with any LaCroix hangovers. I'm here staying hydrated. We got, again, the team previews continue. We're up to the Detroit Football Lions, a true
#Legends only
team. I mean, there's so many different angles when we pick our MLD, aka most likely DGen.
Are there
at the end of the show? Well, I mean, who could you rule out at this point from the Lions organization, considering so many? And there's even been
when I was teaser.
Sure.
I'm sitting right here. I'm not on the. I don't have our lads up for the depth chart. I don't even have the website for the coaching staff. I have the front office roster up. That we might be headed in a way different direction. I'm looking at people that don't even have Wikipedia pages. All right. They might.
You're in deep.
Not even considered public figure. I'm in LinkedIn.
Oh wow. Okay. Once you go into LinkedIn, then you got a problem. Hey guys, our Patreon live and well. And again, big thanks to everyone who's already signed up. Appreciate all the support. We just wrapped up another weekly winner. We're going to be doing another weekly contest this weekend. Probably some preseason NFL, some MLB games kicking around in there. And Ryan, we actually have our week 1 preseason picks podcast as well. It's a big week.
Well, is it week 1 or is it week 2?
Oh, I consider this week 1. Hall of Fame games, obviously week 0.
What do you think mainstream media is calling it?
I think they're calling it week 1.
Okay.
I mean, we can call week 2 if you want and really confuse people, but yeah, we got those coming. Again, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. Get in our NFL season long win totals contest, $1,000 up for grabs. So fun there. And we got a brand new sponsor, Parlay Play. Again, perfect place to get down on some parlayed player props. I'm looking at Mookie Betts over 1.5 total bases. That is a lock. Dude is a beast. Super fun. Or actually, you know what? I'm going to switch it to James Outman of the Dodgers, who his name sounds like a guy he would suck, but he's actually been pretty good. James Outman over a half total bases. Head over to parlayplay.io or download the app. Use the promo code SGP. 100% deposit bonus up to $100, active in a bunch of states, including California, Texas, and a bunch of province in Canada. I actually looked that up. I thought it was provinces, but it's provinces. Yes.
Oh wow.
So learning a little bit about Canada, and of course, you could say it does feel like Canada's team is the Buffalo Bills, but I'm surprised there's not more Canadian fans who are also Detroit Lions fans.
Who plays closer to Canada? Detroit, right?
Oh,
They're
Detroit is
water.
like right there. Yeah.
Windsor is literally like across a bridge. If you've ever been to Detroit, part of the appeal is going to Canada. It's never good for your city if part of the appeal is to go across the border to a different country. Like you're a staging point.
Yes.
Hey, you want to go to Detroit to go check out Canada? Sounds fun.
The magical Windsor awaits. Just I don't think Windsor is that awesome of a town.
It's got
probably
casinos.
just yeah.
So does
now
Detroit.
so does Detroit now.
And by the way, Greek town in Detroit. All right, fun. Stadiums in the city. Respect. I at this point, if you are a city and your stadium is built into your city in a cool way, I'm in.
I like the fans of Detroit. I like how dedicated they are. I was reading through the subreddit, Ryan, to get some like Lions nuggets to bring to the show, and there it was a lot of fan bases.
Warn people before saying they should just go over to the Detroit Lions subreddit.
There's a lot of rabbit holes now. A lot of team subreddits are like, hey, training camp, hype clips, cool stats, breakdowns on rookies. This, the Detroit Lions thing, it's almost like a 12-step group where everyone, there's just a lot of emotion poured out in these posts. It's not links to videos or whatever. It's just, guys starting off. I'm 35 years old. I've been a fan my entire life. This is the happiest I've ever been. We got to do it this year. This has to be the year. I can't endure any more pain. A lot of there was a post that just started with Dan Campbell is my favorite human being.
That is funny to think of a fan base in that it's been so bad that everyone leads off their introduction with their sob story.
Yes.
Like how long they've been doing it. There's a lot of parallels to the anonymous program.
Well, and over on the YouTube chat, it is lit. Jake Paquin, he's a Michigan resident, but he's kind of a Lions hater, hoping for a little Lions hate. But Easy, of course, shout out to Easy. This will be our first year we'll been good since Barry Sanders. So again,
do you want to play some trivia?
ZD Mills, also a Lions fan, saying he's 34. He's seen one Lions playoff win. Oh man, sorry, ZD.
Are you interested in a little trivia?
Sure.
And maybe we can make the trivia for the chat just to give reward the people that are here on a Monday morning.
Reporting for duty. They're which by the way, you just learned about provinces. I just learned that the salute emoji is a salute emoji. Oh, you didn't know that?
Definitely thought I had no idea what it was.
It is
dick on the forehead. There were a lot of things that would go through my head.
Oh, I love you. Anytime my wife asks me to do something via text, just salute emoji going right back at her.
I don't think they like it when you salute back at them.
No.
Yeah, they want to be treated like that, but not actually saluted.
They don't want to bring up that reality.
It's very confusing. Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like I completely derailed whatever we were talking about. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, swinging all the way back around.
Yes.
We're talking about the Lions, which is Canadians. I think what we were starting with this is Canada's real NFL team.
Canada's real NFL team.
Wait, hold on. We have to have who are the nominees for Canada's top NFL team?
Yeah.
Buffalo Bills, obviously.
Yep.
Detroit Lions, obviously. I guess you got to put the Seahawks. They're pretty close, right?
Yeah.
Seattle Seahawks. Is there anyone else that is nominated for Canada?
I mean, Minnesota's right there.
The Vikings.
Yeah.
Okay, so those four.
And honestly,
maybe a bonus team.
They should be more interested in the Packers because Wisconsin also. I'm looking at the map here. Also, very easy to sneak on into Canada.
Yeah, you're doing a little geography.
Yep. I mean, Cleveland also right on the water. The mistake by the lake, but really
the wind's blowing down from Canada though. It's probably hard to sail up there.
It really is, and even Chicago. I mean, it got a little lake trip over there, but it does seem like Lions and the Bills are Canada's team.
So yeah, the trivia was going to be, and I was going to say, do we want to open it up for the chat?
Sure.
For the fine people saluting. That's where we got to the salute emoji. Last time Lions won their division. Simple question.
I actually looked this up. I know it.
Okay, well,
so I'm not going to spoil it.
First
for the
person
chat.
in the chat. How giving are you feeling today?
For me?
Yeah, you're like the guy with the water over in Mad Max. How much water do you want to dump on people?
$25 SGPN gift card up for grabs in the chat. YouTube.com/sportsgamblingpodcast.
Interestingly enough, we've gotten a number of answers and only one person got it right. ZD Mills.
Congrats, ZD Mills, 1993. I actually have that as one of my nuggets as well, nice. Ryan.
Well done.
Because the Detroit Lions have never won the NFC North. When they won it in 1993, it was the NFC Central.
Which, all right, so now that we're going through college realignment, the NFL suffered a very severe realignment when they went to the 4-division model. Love it or hate it, 20 years later.
Would never happen under Goodell's watch.
Really? So you think Goodell's around? He keeps it to 3. I love it. We got rid of the Cardinals. That was an annoying game. I don't care that it was an easy game. I don't want that trash in the East anymore. Poor representation.
No, NFL as always got it right. 4 divisions, 4 teams, very symmetrical.
We're pro alignment and sometimes pro realignment.
All right, 2022 Detroit Lions 9-8, 12 and a whopping 12-5 ATS, nipping at the Giants' heels for best ATS win record. Smashed their over on the win total of 6.5. Smash. And we both had them going under. And when they were 1-6, our 6-11 prediction was looking pretty damn good. Unfortunately for us, they went on a bit of a heater, finished 9th in DVOA, 5th in offensive DVOA, but defense 28th in DVOA. Pythag wins 9.1, right in line with what they did there. I mean, my biggest thoughts on the 2022 Lions is, the defense was so bad. 31st in EPA per play. I understand they did get kind of better after they fired their defensive backs coach after week 8. They seem to improve defensively.
Can I be honest?
Yeah.
I mean, full disclosure, I never played organized football. Played sports with coaches.
Okay.
Hard for me to and understand how positional coaches are kind of deployed. Hard for me to see, and I know some matter, very few matter. Offensive line, couple defensive backs coach, but I think all in all, this is bullshit. Not only is it bullshit, but your defensive coordinator was a DB. Like that was blood. That was a sacrifice.
They did get better. Now to your point, I don't know if it's necessarily correlated. Again, to your point,
just roll. I mean,
the defense. It's not like defensive backs coach are mostly teaching technique. So if it was a scheme change, that's coming from the defensive coordinator. Yep. It's not like the defensive coordinator is calling out, "Hey, let's be in a nickel." Like that's all that stuff is coming from the defensive coordinator. The game plan, the scheme. It's all the defensive.
You're
coordinator.
Teaching and coaching. Like you're just an assistant. You're just passing along the message of the coordinators and coaches to say, this is how we want to teach it. This is how we want to coach it. And to your point, techniques really, that generally doesn't change overnight.
Kramer's right. According to ZD Mills, it was all about sending a message to the team, a little bit of a wake up call, maybe defensively.
That's fair. Like, hey, this is real. But honestly, like that's also hard for me to buy in a team run by players and Dan Campbell. And so like you have these kind of paradoxes we're creating where no one wants to look back to last year and say, in a weird way, this was the optimal outcome. This was the ceiling case.
It does feel like they were ready to dump the Gatorade after that season.
I have that written down. Sean, was that a dump the Gatorade? Let me extrapolate.
I mean, Jamal Williams, the interview he gave. I mean, he was emotional. He was ready to break down in tears because they achieved a 9-8 season. You guys didn't make the playoffs. I mean, I don't mean to be a dick, but
I have written down here. Ask Sean if it's a dump the Gatorade moment, knocking the Packers out of the playoffs and sending Aaron Rodgers off with a loss.
That is fun. And if I was a Packers fan, I'd be super stoked. I'd be super excited. As a gambler, again, just the overall Detroit mojo. I mean, again, we just said they haven't won the division since 1993.
Mojo
there could be some institutional issues we're facing.
Well, and let me. All right, so I'll expand on we'll just go back because I do think their ATS record I think is factored in with people being high on them in a funny way. We get made fun of this all the time for having biases, right? Well, I think the ultimate bias is the team that makes you money. and a team that goes ATS or wins a lot of ATS games, especially as a dog, Sean, those tend to sit real close to your heart. And so if you look at the Dan Campbell story arc, 2021 gets hired. This team stinks. They're dogs in every single game, and they go 3-14, but they go 11-6 ATS.
Yes.
And then you come to 2022, they get Hard Knocks. So already people are blowing smoke up their ass. They're dogs in all but 3 games, but they win 9 and they go 12-5 ATS. Dog. So people are fucking in love with this team. 23-11 ATS over 2 years when they were favored only 3 times. Which by the way, ATS record of almost 69%. Nice. Very fitting for Dan Campbell.
I do kind of worry about the Detroit Lions, a team with expectations, a team, Ryan, to your point, that's going to be favored in a bunch of games because of their win-loss record. Now, kudos to Dan Campbell. I mean, like you said, 3-13-1 in 2021, then shot up to 9-8. I mean, you could make a case he deserved to be in the mix there for Coach of the Year.
I apologize. I did in error not state the tie.
No, yeah,
that's my bad.
I was just pointing out again, going from 3 to 9 wins with the Detroit Lions team. That's part I think is impressive, and their OC, I think, again, has been getting the most out of a guy like Jared Goff, who again is the deed owner to Jared Goff Sucks Island. Now, Jared Goff had a really good season, but you look at some of the advanced stuff. Jared Goff 9th in dropped interception percentage.
Oh, nice.
8 dropped interceptions for the Lions.
Again, optimal outcome last year.
Yeah,
even though they started 1-6,
and certainly their turnover differential reflects that, right? They were +7 in turnover differential, 4th in the league. It does feel like Jared Goff is due to give some of those turnovers back this year, and that's what I would highlight. Again, this defense was really bad with a +7 turnover differential. Let's say conservatively, Ryan, that goes down to +3 or +5, +4.
Well, do you know why? Because they were randomly. I mean, I guess you can't call it 100% luck, but they did well on defense after turning the ball over. So they limited the points. The EPA was relatively low after turnover. So whether that's luck or something that's going to regress, probably for a bad defense, I would expect they're going to let more of those opportunities turn into points. And even again, if you zoom into their schedule, like they turned the ball over like crazy. They went 1-6. Yeah. They stopped turning the ball over at all, and they went 8-2. And so, unlike Dan Jones, though, like you mentioned, Jared Goff's low interception rate seems to be a little bit more fluky based on how many of these turnover-worthy plays he had and how many of the interceptions that were dropped. And so when I look back, I wonder, is this just another case where we're going to look at Jared Goff and be like, well, that was a hell of a season, but they didn't, that hell of a season turned into 9-8.
Yeah. I mean, to your point, Ryan, like they could have a better season and end up with a similar record or even 8-9. Nicholas Greenwald saying I would take Jared Goff in a heartbeat over Danny Dimes. I'm sure Sean agrees. Completely agree, Nicholas.
Modern NFL, you're taking the guy with no mobility.
Again, a guy can sling it. He's a gunslinger. Can get that ball downfield. I actually think
both have a road to playoff victory.
Yeah, I actually
like that. It sounds nice.
Well, I mean, Jared Goff got to a Super Bowl
with Sean McVay.
Yes. But this Ben Johnson OC, I'm surprised. I think that's a big storyline. The fact that the Lions were able to keep their offensive coordinator,
huge.
Because again, like
he was offered the Carolina head coaching.
You see that jump that Lions offense made. He was a very hot name in the coaching circle, and it's impressive that they were able to retain him. Also, we've gone so far into the episode, we haven't mentioned how awesome Dan Campbell's huge lippers are. So as a guy who likes to throw down some chaw as well, Dan Campbell, hats off, mutual respect.
Can I add to that? I'll put a little icing, maybe even a cherry on top of that cake. He not only loves the lipper, but it's just as for those who haven't experienced football Sundays with Sean. It's not a clean process.
No,
it's not. There's nothing clean about. It's not like when you watch that one guy, they can roll a really tight joint. It's like the joint that you roll. That's like lumpy and kind of like that. That's
Well,
the lipper.
see, that's
that's Dan Campbell. I don't know if you've watched any of the tape where he literally will take half a tin.
Oh, and
just
one
say,
scoop.
you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna miss some of this, but the rest is getting into my lip.
No, there again. As a guy who's always looking to improve my dip game, you have role models like Dan Campbell that you aspire to be like. The thing is, I'm a game day dipper. That's really the only time I chew tobacco, when I'm camping and when the Eagles are on. Those are my two safe spaces for dipping. But to your point, yeah, it's I put it in there. The guys who are dipping every day, like constantly throughout the day, you won't even know like they have a dip in. Like they'll have a conversation. Their dip cup will barely have any spit. They're somehow like swallow. They're really dipping geniuses. And YouTube.com/sportsgaming podcast producer Josh pulling up the video. I mean, look at that. All right, just put pause here for a second there if you can. He put in a huge chunk and then followed it up with another massive chunk. I mean, Dan Campbell is a dog.
Yeah, going. I mean, you rarely see a second scoop.
No.
And then look at the way he cleans off his hand, and then he gives it. He'll do a swipe.
He's
on
like
his
Salt Bay with Skull.
Watch. Oh, there's a swipe. Get it off the.
Oh yeah, I've
casually
been there.
just
because he get the
juice.
All right, this is making me want to have a sweet lipper. For the Fantasy Football Expo. Hey, we're going to be at the Fantasy Football Expo Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Come out, say hi if you're in Canton. It's going to be a good time. Kramer, let's talk about the roster because I think that there's some interesting nuggets here. Obviously, Jameson Williams will be out the first 6 games.
Hashtag Legends Only.
Do we want to remind people why?
Because he bet on games at the team facility. It wasn't even Lions games. It was just college football. Right?
At least he didn't get shamed with an average bet size. Because that's the stuff.
That was really embarrassing.
Like Calvin Ridley, it was like bets totaling 1,500, and that was like, all right, whatever. Maybe he's got a couple big bets. Jameson Williams, at least we didn't get that data leaked out, so he's got a good PR team because not the same that the Iowa State guy, poor kid,
poor Hunter Dicker's ruined his entire life over $2,800.
Are we? Because I feel like Jameson Williams is the guy on the roster that everyone is just penciling in as being this fucking superstar because he made a couple plays last year, and we've seen it before. Guys coming in off of the pup, which essentially this is going to emulate, right? A 6-week abstinence, then you're back. It's not always that quick.
Well, and as someone who liked him in fantasy and best ball, and maybe still do like him because you get him at such a discount, but that it was brutal because last year was the same type of thing. You know, he was missing so much time because of the injury. Finally got in late in the season, had like literally a couple fun plays, and you're like, oh shit, this guy has so much potential.
That's why I think
that's what people were getting excited about. The difference is, I would say at least he is able to, and correct me if I'm wrong, but he is able to participate in preseason games and in training camp. So at least you're able to get the work in and maybe hit the ground running here.
Yeah, there is that. Then I would say like the discussion then carries on to, well, who are the other receivers on this team?
To your point, Ryan, like writing him in as this dominant player, I think is a little crazy.
Well, I just think and I think more likely, I think it's going to be Jahmyr Gibbs or Sam Laporta who steps forward as this clear second option in the offense. I mean, you read anything that anyone observing camp for the Lions, who, by the way, if you're watching this live or listening timely, it's Monday, August 7th, and the Giants and the Lions have a joint camp this week. So, you know, I think everyone who's been, so I'll be paying attention. So everyone who's been diving in deep are saying it's all about Sun God, Laporta, and Gibbs.
Well, and Ryan, of course, if you've been following, I've been kind of alluding to who's the list of my guys, aka first touchdown, 2 touchdown tight ends that I'm keeping an eye on, and Shane Zylstra was on that list. Of course, a random 3 touchdown performance last season. Fortunately, blew out his knee in training camp, waived by the team.
How many tight ends on the Lions had 2 touchdown performances last year? It was 2 or 3.
It's a good question.
Zylstra, Wright. I think there might have been one more.
Brock Wright, yeah.
TJ Hawkinson, maybe.
Oh, right. Early. Well, I don't think he was doing a ton touchdown wise early on for them. But yeah, let's pull up the roster. They do have a really good offensive line. ETR ranks their offensive line second. You know, you get Penei Sewell with a little bit more experience.
Great name.
Big V, who again, former Eagles right tackle, they kick inside to right guard. Frank Ragnow at center, like Taylor
good.
Decker left tackle, like they do have a very, very good offensive line. So if you're high on them, I think one of the reasons is their offensive line and their offense. Again, my biggest issue with the Lions is the defense, and
again, like,
and you look at the draft picks again. We gave out Lions to draft a running back with their first pick at a crazy price.
Was it 50-1?
I think it was 50-1. I was thinking it was going to be Bijan Robinson. I did not think it was going to be Jahmyr Gibbs, but that's where you draft a pass rusher. I know you have Aiden Hutchinson and you're optimistic he can make a leap in the second year, but get you a playmaker on, with that super high pick. And then the second round they used Jack, or was it later in the first, Jack Campbell, second first round pick.
Yeah, certainly think no relation to Dan Campbell. I certainly think that they, you can make fun of where they allocated their draft capital.
Yeah,
they didn't make their team better this year. Like the off ball linebacker is going to make your team better right now. It's just not a great investment from like a team building perspective. Just like drafting a running back now. I would argue
Branch
that
at safety,
Jahmyr Gibbs
could be
different.
nice for them, but
Jahmyr Gibbs is a little different because what he's going to bring in the running game. And as Colby will remind you over and over again, this is not a typical Alabama running back, as he transferred there after playing a number of years for Georgia Tech. I think he's going to be heavily used in the pass game. To your point, Brian Branch has been looking good in camp. And then they have the project Hendon Hooker for later when Jared Goff becomes expired. And honestly, when you look at the players that left, for the most part, I'm not too concerned, except for Jamal Williams. I think anytime you have someone that obviously mattered in the locker room, and obviously say what you will, but those 28 carries inside the 5-yard line, all those rushing touchdowns that he accounted for,
and again,
he was a finisher.
Yeah, I am going to.
You have to know when to come.
Oh, and we actually have a new one, courtesy of the Cleveland Browns preview. If you haven't heard that episode yet,
I'm not touching Deshaun Watson.
So that was a good episode. The more I think about it, the more I think I should be in on David Montgomery for best ball, just because I do think he will get that Jamal Williams role. I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs, while I think he could be good for the team overall, I think his ADP is just a little high.
No,
because you look at his workload in college. I don't know if he's going to be able to have that crazy workload to get it paid off at where he's currently being drafted.
It's all catches. If he's the second target in the passing offense.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting to see, like Marvin Jones. Where do you think he ranks in ZD Mills or sorry, someone in the chat was asking about why isn't Marvin Jones getting any looks here fantasy wise?
Why isn't anyone else? I mean, this is a team that is so desperate for receivers. Again, everyone's like, oh yeah, they got Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams. That's all they need, right? They're so desperate for receivers. They traded for Denzel Mims, a guy that was certainly going to be cut by the Jets. It's Khalif Raymond.
So to your point,
it's Denzel Mims. It's Josh Reynolds. I mean, Marvin Jones. This is not exactly for a team that I think would like to spread it out and get loose. I think Marvin Jones is a good receiver, professional receiver, doesn't scare you. Josh Reynolds. I mean, we're now at the point where you'd rather have the Giants receiving core.
I mean, Khalif Raymond also is he's been a fun first touchdown guy. I'm still so fucking pissed. I think it was that game against Green Bay where he got tackled at the one, but they didn't even challenge it. Like clearly he was over.
It's almost like they don't care about tight end touchdowns.
I think I had 45-1. Then they just fucking. I think Goff sneaked there. They handed off to Jameson Williams, and he got the touchdown.
He was
bastards.
I remember that.
I'm still fired up.
Fan initiated VAR. Let's get to that place as a people.
Oh, gambling VAR, and we can be in charge of it, Ryan. I love that idea.
The fans get one a game.
Yes. Well, in some of those, what is that? The Savannah Banana League, that kind of like where it's basically the Harlem Globetrotter baseball-y thing. They have fan initiated replay review. They definitely need that, because imagine everyone has now NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube TV. Imagine if there was a button like use the gambling challenge now. That would be awesome. It would be electric.
Engagement would be through the roof.
Kramer, let's take a look at the season odds here. Win total coming in pretty high. at 9.5. Make playoffs -165. The Lions are -165 to make the playoffs. The Detroit Lions. Right. We just need to stop and just think about this.
Seems wrong, right?
Yes, it seems really wrong that they are that much of a favorite. I mean, the last time they made the playoffs, 2016.
When's the last time they made it without Matt Stafford?
Without Matt Stafford.
1999, they got in at 8-8. Lost, obviously, in the wild card. They actually made the playoffs an astonishing 6 times in the 90s. The glory years, some say.
Barry carrying him. -165 to make the playoffs, +140 to miss the playoffs, +140 to win the division. As we pointed out, hasn't happened since 1993, and they're the favorite to win the division at +140.
They have one playoff win in the Super Bowl era.
Conference 11-1, Super Bowl 22-1.
No, thank you.
It's like I don't want to. I don't want to be mean to the Lions because I like the city.
Hey, you want to go to Windsor?
I love they have legit fans, and the fans have never gone anywhere. They've hung around. They deserve to have a good season. But how can you like the Lions at these prices? It's insane.
Sean, they have the worst fan base in the division.
Really?
They're like the Commanders. Right?
Oh, okay. Right.
I mean,
Bears, they're right in the chat.
Bears, Packers, and Vikings. They don't have Skull. Skull. Imagine if Dan Campbell coached for a team.
Oh, you want to talk about a great product endorsement? Skull, and it's just Dan Campbell packing lippers in.
No, that's the crowd. It's like I don't know if you've ever watched the Yankees roll call in the beginning of games, but for Viking, it would just be them doing Skull until he threw his lipper in, and then the crowd erupts. Yeah, so those prices are all disgusting.
That is a disgusting act.
Back to my story arc. Like this year, the part we didn't get to. So we touched on how they have been favored in 3 of 34 games over the last 2 years when they've been darlings, crushing at ATS 23-11. Now this year, Sean, guess how many times they're dogs? 6 times.
Yeah,
that means they're favored in 11.
Imagine if you just took Ryan the look ahead lines and bet on every game where the Lions favored. Will that be a plus EV move?
So earlier I said, and I think we mentioned they were actually unlucky with injuries last year. But earlier we said, what if last year was the best case scenario?
Yes.
What if they weren't going to get any better? Yes. What if this was like this was the right collection of environmental variables, and that 8-2 stretch that they finished on, and I think did they finish 8-0 in their last 8?
No, they lost the Carolina Panthers, and again.
Oh yeah. So, but if you look at that and you say like, oh, okay, well, if we disperse this in a more normal way, are we really getting that excited about this team? If they don't go on these crazy stretches, if it's not distributed that way, as the nerds would say, are we really that excited? The defense sucks. Defense can change, right? We can have some volatility year to year, and they did bring in cornerbacks, which we didn't. That was the one part we didn't really touch on the newcomers. They did seem to try to address the issue, but none of the talent is what you would call top shelf. And so, if you're telling me, and we got all the way, we're 30 minutes into the preview, and I haven't even asked you, are the Detroit Lions a dome team?
Yeah, 100%.
100%.
Well, and that's good. They obviously play in the dome. They got a decent number of dome games. That's why you like, if you're optimistic on Jared Goff, that's why you like him. Again, kind of a warm weather quarterback, and they struggle against teams with a winning record, 3-6. Only 2 of their opponents have a win total less than 7.5. So this isn't going to be easy.
Oh, that's interesting. So they have a relatively easy schedule, but they don't play too many trash teams.
Yeah. So
some of that's the distribution of win totals this year. It's like everything is 7.
It does feel like there's
only a couple that have shorter.
They are closing out some notes here. They are due some injury luck regression. But negative opposing kickers were only 1 of 5 of 50+ yard field goals against the Detroit Lions,
and they're a dome team. So
yeah, but again, like we'll look at the schedule. They don't have a ton of outdoor cold weather spots late, which could be problematic for Jared Goff. So I think that is favorable to them. Ryan,
real quick, can I respond to your injury luck thing?
Sure.
2 years in a row, they got a person named Jill Costanza working in the sports science department.
Costanza.
I don't know if it's regression, not regression proof.
Hey Ryan, you know what? You know what I love about the NFL? Winning millions of dollars. Imagine winning your share of $14 million just picking NFL games. Oh man, so fun. Like I said, Kramer and I always do a team. Me and my buddies who do the Eagles podcast, we're going to sign up for a team. Circa Million, Circa Survivor, $14 million combined up for grabs. Perfect excuse to go out to Vegas. You and a couple of buddies. Hey, we're going to go out. If you guys want to hang out with us, we'll be out there August 24th, 26th for the ultimate sign-up weekend. We're going to be doing some live shows there, a bunch of events. We will, if you come out and say, I listen to the show, we'll definitely shots on us. And again, get all the details, get signed up, sign up in Vegas, play from anywhere. You do need a proxy. We got a guy who's a good proxy, circusports.com for all the details, circusports.com. Let's go, Kramer.
You want to talk about the schedule? All right. So you mentioned it. They are a dome team. They do play a lot of games in domes down the stretch. Specifically, they are fortunate. Small hands, warm weather. Look, Bears is the only real cold weather spot they have to go on the road. So they definitely get the second coldest spot is Ravens week 7. So they're in just a delightful spot when it comes to playing inside, playing in the dome. I don't know if that helps their defense though. Another nugget on the schedule. They've
that's a good point, because I don't feel like they have particularly fast or good defensive.
They're outdoor games. Period. At Chiefs, at Packers, at Ravens.
Yeah, and they're
at
early.
Bears.
Yeah.
So another note, they have 3 Thursday games, which is interesting, and it makes this second note almost impossible. They play 3 times on Thursday, but the shortest amount of rest they'll have in a week is six days. So I don't even know how that makes any fucking sense. I should have verified it. I almost don't believe it. So
the first Thursday night game is game 1. So.
Well, okay, there you go. That's one of them, but this other one is obviously false. All right, so the Chiefs at opening the game, this is the part of the story arc that I wanted to get to, because we go from the Lions they've been favored 3 times in the last 34 games, and now here we are having to watch them to open the season against the Chiefs. I don't know. Come on, Seattle, and then the Falcons at home weeks 2 and 3. They'll be favored in both of those, as will they be on Thursday night on the road in Green Bay. Green Bay's got revenge on the mind.
Yeah, Thursday night road spots are always super tough. Obviously, the Falcons are dog shit. Seattle's an interesting team because I think Seattle. That's going to be a tough game. You are coming off a little bit of extra rest, but I feel like that doesn't matter as much early. And maybe they do snake the Packers. I'll say 2-2 feels about right. Maybe even on the optimistic side for the old Lions here.
They're just gonna play in shootouts every week.
Yeah. And again, like that Seattle team, what if they come in with some physicality and just try and run it down their throat? I mean, the Panthers really at the end of last season, they were one of those losses in that 8-2 stretch. They just ran it down their throats, and I think that's how you beat this this Lions team. And I worry, as the Lions, for the Lions here, Seattle might bring that. Like Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet, if they're both healthy, might be.
You don't think the Falcons are going to bring that?
No, that's also true. Yeah,
like that,
it's not a great matchup. I do think they end up getting the win, but you're right.
I'll be honest. I don't know if those are not the teams I'd want to see.
Yeah.
weeks 2, 3, 4 are all going to deploy very, very powerful running attacks.
I'm going to go 1-3.
Yeah, let's do that.
And I think they do beat the Falcons.
Wait, you have
one of the worst teams.
We're now almost 40 minutes into the show, and you haven't played the new roar sound effect we have.
Oh my God! Well, I was saving it for when they play the Panthers.
It's a bachelor party in Detroit right there. All right, next up we got Panthers again. This I do tend to love. I again, they're going against a rookie here, so I don't hate that spot. At Bucks. Still warm in Florida, maybe. This is one of their outdoor spots. Now their third outdoor spot on the season. At Ravens, back-to-back road spot. Then Raiders at home on Monday Night Football into the bye week. Right in the middle of the season. Schedule gods being very nice to Dan Campbell for some reason, even though he still throws the lippers in. Bad example for the youth of America.
I think at least 2-2, if not 3-1, right?
I mean, again, Jared Goff beats bad team. Jared Goff and this Lions team will beat the bad teams on their schedule, and so I don't know. I'm okay. And
maybe I'm just looking at the spread too much here. But as a road favorite in Tampa Bay,
that's not right.
That doesn't feel right.
That's a different conversation. And
maybe it's just a spread thing. But I think those Buccaneers receivers could give this secondary a little. Little run for their money. You got that long grass in Tampa and Carolina. Well, they're at home against
the
Carolina.
Bucks are coming off their early bye here too. So this is a tremendously bad spot for the Lions. Also with Baltimore. Baltimore is coming off a London game. They're not taking the bye week.
Oh,
and
wow.
so maybe that nullifies the back-to-back spot. But again, this team doesn't beat the good teams. They beat the bad teams. They struggle against the good teams. They struggle against the good defenses, especially Jared Goff. So I'll go 2-2 here.
Yeah, 2-2 feels right. I mean, I could talk myself into 3-1 and 1-3, but I'll split the difference and call it 2-2.
All right, coming off the bye again, right in the middle of the season. How convenient for Dan Campbell. Everyone loves him, even though he's pushing nicotine on the youth of America. At Chargers, Bears at home, Packers at home on Thanksgiving. We all know what the Lions do on Thanksgiving. At Saints. So that's an interesting 4. The Saints is the first of a back-to-back road spot. Obviously on the road against the Chargers. This is going to be the most excited Lions fans are in a long time. If you're a Lions fan living anywhere near California, you've already bought tickets to see them at SoFi.
D Bettis, Ryan, normally a bit of a hater. He's saying 2-2. He's got him 7-5 so far. Easy, of course, Lions fan. He's saying 3-1 again. He's got them going 9-3. So again, varying opinions on this Lions team.
9-3. He's got him.
Yeah.
Love that energy, bro. Love that energy. I couldn't imagine having to get into Jared Goff.
Yeah, the 2 home games, maybe they split a road. I could talk myself getting up to 6-6 here. Is that crazy?
What so just divisional games? Are you having them just chop them, or are you?
I think they can. I think they can get it done at home, and obviously I do like playing the Packers at home on the short week. I know normally they don't do great on Thanksgiving, but I don't think that's a horrible spot for them.
Tough rushing attack.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And honestly, like this is another one of those stretches. The Bears, Packers, and Saints should all be able to run the ball pretty well. Now I'm going to give the Bears game a loss, and I'm going to say they sneak up on the Chargers here. I'll give an upset there because I do think that there's going to be a crazy amount of Detroit Lion fans in the building. Again, if you're a Lions fan, you're excited more than ever, and if you live anywhere on the West Coast, you're 100% going to SoFi to watch that game. So yeah, 2-2. I did a high voice because I'm not super confident about it.
I'm gonna go 3-1 here.
Really?
Yeah.
Who's the loss?
I think either at Saints or at Chargers. I think they'd lose one of those. But to your point, they could have a home field type atmosphere.
Oh, actually, no.
Chargers will probably be devastated by some weird injury.
I got to give them 3-1 there then.
Why?
Because I have them winning that Chargers game.
Okay.
So I'm going to give them the 2 home games in the division, like we discussed, and the Chargers. All right, next or final 5. So give me, where am I at then?
We're both 6-6.
Okay. Similar to last year. So then we have they're really their only cold weather outdoor game at Chicago. So just pencil that in as a loss.
Yeah.
Broncos at home, at Vikings, at Cowboys, Vikings at home. So this, obviously they're not going outside here after the Bears game. I do think the Vikings, I'll just say they split. I won't overthink it. NFC North can just be a straight split across the board. So that's 2 losses right there. And I don't know if they're going to Dallas and beating the Cowboys, but did they not beat the Cowboys last year?
No, they put up 6 points against.
Oh, they got their ass beat by the Cowboys. So they
were like, they were kind of in that game and should have done better, but they messed it up.
Is it 3-2?
Yeah, so I'm with you. At
or
Bears,
is it 2-3?
Feels like a real tough spot for them. They probably split with the Vikings, but then that Cowboys game again, I can't in good conscience give the Cowboys a win.
All right, let's just Bears are coming off the bye, so that just locks up that one. The Broncos that's coming off a Chargers game. They have a Christmas Day game up on deck afterwards, so maybe an interesting spot for them. Again, Detroit there. I don't know I think the best I can do, I can have them losing 3 if they lose to the Cowboys. Are we gonna do that?
I'm gonna go 3-2. 9-8 and just under their win total feels like a very Detroit season.
That's you want to go to Windsor?
And of course, Detroit missed playoffs, plus 140. I see producer Josh in the sheet also co-signing that. Again, you're getting plus odds for the Lions not to make the playoffs. I think that we're going to look back on this season and go, wow, that was generous of the sports books. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Detroit completely balls out and they're 12-5 or 11-6 as some of the Lions fans in the chat have them predicting they win the division. But you're not even getting like a great price. 9-8 feels about right. And I walking through this, I had Minnesota 10-7.
Did you feel like you were high, like being pessimistic or optimistic?
Pessimistic or
like I don't feel like it didn't feel like I was being sour on
I can't get them to like 11 wins, 10 wins without like I just haven't seen where the defense makes that leap. And even what the offense did last year, for them to sustain that, I think I'm still being generous,
Yeah, I mean, my original question was, what if this is the best? What if this is the best we're going to see at Jared Goff? 9-8. It does feel like we're a little bit of a cop out because I mean, based on what we've already discussed, what is already public knowledge, especially if you have access to these beautiful sheets. What we've already discussed is that we collectively are 9-8 on the Packers.
Yep.
And which a little higher than most, and you're 8-9. I'm 7-10 on the Bears. So we're doing
10-7 on Minnesota.
We're doing that thing where we're just like skirting right down the middle here. But I
feel like this division, the NFC North, I do feel like is a division where it's going to be clumped up.
3 teams at 9-8 I have, and 1 team at 7-10.
So you give yourself a lot of outs for winning the division, Ryan.
So I think I need to go lower.
Okay.
Wait, if I had the Bears if I have the Vikings and the Packers finishing ahead, that's what I want. So you know what? Let's go 2-3 down the stretch.
2-3.
Sorry, Dan Campbell, but I don't like to show America's children that using lip tobacco is okay.
Yeah, I still have them.
It's fine in the privacy of your own home. You're gonna stick with 9-8.
Yep.
I'll go 8-9.
What about exact finish? I mean, third is plus 340. Fourth is plus 600.
I mean, I just want to look up what
there is a floor to this Lions team. Or again, Nate Sudfeld is the backup quarterback for the Detroit Lions.
Oh, that's true. Are you calling for? Are you predicting injury right now?
No, but I'm going to take Detroit 4th place at +600 just because I think. I mean, walking through here, I had last place right now is the Bears at 8 and 9. So them to get down to 7 and 10, I don't think is that crazy. So yeah, I'm going to go.
I was going to say, Sean, we have the same. We could have the same 4.
Yeah. Vikings,
Packers, Bears, Lions. We can play. What is that? Do you have that exact price? And I'll look it up.
That one's fun. So I'm on Detroit 4th place. Detroit missed playoffs. Prop bet I like I said,
I'll co-sign the missed playoffs.
Okay.
That's again, we're talking about history, guys. Talking about history.
I mean, Matt, just looking at the other side, the Lions haven't done something in what is it, 30 years?
Well, let's win the division.
Yes, but win the division, you're getting +140 for something that hasn't happened in 30 years. Does that feel like a good price?
No, they did make the playoffs in '99 without Stafford.
Okay,
so there's that.
Like I mentioned with the number of dropped interceptions on Jared Goff to lead the league in interceptions 25-1. Lock that up for me, because I think they're going to be throwing a ton. That's why I think he's interesting in fantasy. Again, I just don't think they've fixed.
I love that bet.
They fixed what he does wrong.
That's one of my favorite markets. I think they mispriced some of these QBs. And again, we highlighted some of the reasons why his numbers should have been like his low ass interception rate last year, second only behind Daniel Jones.
Will must be a Lions fan saying, "Giving the books your money. It's gonna happen sometime on the Lions winning the division." Hey, I would be stoked to see the Lions in the playoffs. Again, the Detroit fan base deserves some W's. I just don't quite see it yet from them, and I want to be on the Lions. On a year where people are doubting them. Like if they have a kind of down year, then maybe I come in on them next year. It's just the pricing is that this team is like a perennial powerhouse.
Yeah. The pricing is because everyone won a shitload of money.
Yeah.
And they think Dan Campbell's cool. And they're like, I guess player coaches can work.
And they were a fun fantasy team. They play in a dome. You stacked up a bunch of wins against the spread. I get the appeal of this Lions team.
All right. So do you want to?
And who knows? I certainly could change midseason and get on them ATS, but
I'm going to join you on.
To me, it just doesn't feel sustainable how they closed it out last year.
Well, they're not going to be dogs. Dan Campbell's a dog coach. I'll join you on the interceptions bet.
Great.
I'm also going to. I'll throw out a positive bet for you.
Okay.
Because all right, let's say things go well, but Jamison Williams never comes back, never turns into much. Laporte is fine, but he's a rookie. He can't not a ton, and Gibbs is involved. And Amon-Ra St. Brown just has a year of years.
Yeah. I mean, I like Amon-Ra in fantasy for sure.
Offensive player of the year.
Wow. So this is your hedge on in case Detroit is like 14-3 or something crazy.
I think if they win the division, like they're favored to.
Yeah.
And they have a great offense, and it's basically because Amon-Ra St. Brown has like a 30 to 35% target share, scores the requisite 15 to 20 touchdowns, and puts up crazy bonkers numbers. 35-1 for a guy who's being drafted in the first round of fantasy drafts or early second.
I guess to me,
he's one of the guys. No one else at this price range has the target share.
But would you like Jared Goff MVP? Because it is a quarterback driven award.
I don't know. Amon-Ra St. Brown has that story, right? He has the chip on his shoulder, later draft pick. He wrote back to every receiver who was drafted ahead of him right away. People are wondering, and maybe that person's just me, if he's injury prone after his dad gave out the biggest injury mush in the history of
all time.
Injury mushes.
All time. You can't call out other team injuries. Like, what are you doing?
All right, so I'm actually I played this.
Okay.
I took this Amon-Ra St. Brown bet, and my logic was simply I sat down and looked at the fantasy landscape, and I looked at the guys getting drafted in those top 2 rounds where you have to have that kind of output to be an offensive player of the year.
Yep.
And I looked at the quarterback they played with, and I think in a lot of those cases, you're right. It's a quarterback driven league, easy to give it to the quarterback, but I think the interception thing can happen in the same version, and they're
maybe
not
that
going to
keeps him
get
away.
exactly. They're not going to give it to a guy who's thrown 13, 14, 15 picks. And so, yeah, give me Amon-Ra St. Brown, 35 to win, 1 to win Offensive Player of the Year. I also have another one. Earlier on the Falcons preview, we discussed the idea of Bijan catching all these passes and it being this like silly season. Well, these cowards wouldn't list Gibbs to lead the division in catches, but I did notice that he is way off the favorites list when it comes to the Offensive Rookie of the Year. He's not a quarterback, but if he's the second option in this offense and it works out, 10 to 1 is probably right on the edge of where I would be interested in taking something like this. But when you look at this again, my official, CJ Stroud price really hasn't moved. That's crazy to me. But when you look at the top of this board, Bijan plus 275, Bryce Young plus 500, Anthony Richardson plus 600, which by the way, he's running with the twos now, Sean. I don't know if you saw that. Gardner Minshew running.
Oh, have you seen the hype around Anthony Richardson?
CJ Stroud plus 850.
They're calling his teammates are calling him a Madden player.
And Jahmyr Gibbs 10 to 1. Gibbs is interesting because the smoke is starting to come out about how like where he is going to fit into this offense. And so he's certainly interesting. I wanted to bring it up. I don't think 10 to 1's probably fun enough to take here, but he could this is another guy who, from a fantasy perspective, I know you said you'd rather have Montgomery, and I always love taking the second guy who's going to get more touchdown looks. But everything that I'm reading from these beat reporters is that Gibbs is going to catch a lot of passes. And so he's everything that DeAndre Swift wasn't for this team, which by the way, fun nugget that unrelated to actual success. They were 9-5 when Swift played last year, 12-2 ATS. So maybe good for your Eagles.
Dog. DeAndre Swift, dog, coming back home. Benedict Dantold in the chat. Shout out to him. Love the Benedict himself. He did ask me to send him the Benedict Dantold music. I forget what he was going to use it for. I think maybe a ringtone. I do appreciate the commitment to character, but he said Lions to go 6-0 in the division is only 15 to 1. That's ridiculous. 100% agree, Benedict. And I think
that's never going to happen.
Well, and I think that price right there just highlights how insanely priced this Lions team is. The fact that that's 15 to 1, that should be like 40 to 1. Just any team to go 6-0 in the division is really hard. I mean, even the Bears going 0-6 last year was really kind of an outlier.
Now you're making me want to pull up. We should look at the win total, the division wins for this team. That might be a great way to fade. Oh my goodness.
4.5,
3.5, but you can get plus 125 on the under. You know what? Put that on my card.
Okay.
I almost like that better than the regular under, but because I had them going under their win total with them going 3-3.
Yeah, I
like the stack there. I also like the stack of taking. So I liked the reason I co-signed your Jared Goff plays. I actually went straight -110. I took him to go over 11.5 picks, and it was a simple regression play. So I don't like if you had to pick one football size bet, like a team's ATS bet on Jared Goff to throw 11.5 picks, over 11.5 picks, or whatever your pizza bet on 25 to 1 most interceptions.
I mean, over 11.5. That's why the picks market is out of whack. I mean, last year the leaders had 15. So if you're getting over 11.5, you're close to being leading the league. I think taking over 11.5 is kind of crazy.
I think there's a decent amount of the highest are probably 12.5. So, but yeah, no, to your point. So you're saying you like the 25 to 1 better.
Well, yeah, just cause again, if you get to 12, you are definitely in the mix. So last year,
I'm going to play both.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I get it.
Stack.
I just think
correlated.
If you get to 12, like last year, you would be 6th place. You're only 3 interceptions back from winning it all.
Yeah.
Now maybe there's look at your book's rule on dead heat for most interceptions. Because last year it was a tie at 15.
Yeah, I assume they're honorable and they do a standard dead heat situation.
Just always gotta take a look there, Ryan. All right, time for everyone's favorite segment, the 2023 Detroit Lions MLD. Kramer, do you want to go first?
Sure.
Who do you got?
Well, I did want to give a special shout out because. Look, as much as I wanted to go deep, and I was worried about slandering a non-public figure, and so obviously Tim O'Neill, equipment manager of 24 years for the Detroit Lions, was in on the gambling situation because the equipment managers know everything.
Yeah,
and there's one other person in that building that knows everything, the IT guy, Mark Wilk. I mean, I almost want to we need an alternate cover where we just have these two men without faces.
I think you got to go IT guy, Ryan. You nailed it with the IT guy because you were telling me you were diving deep in the Lions subreddit, and they were going, what if he was actually across the street from the facility, but the team's Wi-Fi was really strong. Now here's your angle, Ryan.
Well, then it turned into a 9/11 conversation. So shout out to the Detroit Lions subreddit.
They go deep. Well, maybe the IT guy is in on it all along. Imagine this, Ryan.
He had to approve the downloading of the app, most likely, right?
Yes, and he's the one setting up the extenders, the routers. He's the one. Oh, hey, let me take a look at your phone there. I'm going to hit a Wi-Fi auto join.
It'll like A&M this week too.
It'll make and imagine you're the IT guy. You see all these players' bets coming in. You're not going to use that information.
Ding ding ding.
Right.
Ding.
You got to make your IT guy is a great angler.
All right. Well, all right. So then I'll make it Mark. So both of these men know everything that's going on with this team. I will officially make it Mark Wilk. I don't know what we put as the picture. Maybe we just use a generic IT guy.
Yeah, someone from the office or something.
But there. So the other thing I wonder who they had data.
You can just
you
can just say the IT department.
Oh, okay. IT. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. The Lions IT department, because that's all encompassing. They're in.
Worth noting, I'm starting to believe more and more, like the pattern of who's getting pinched. Again, more questions than answers, and I wonder who was actually because it means the entire team was gambling. It wasn't just like a random couple players, and so the Mark Wilk was also involved in the cover up. So. Congratulations.
Benedict Antold saying Sam Laporta for his MLD. Iowa easy. And Detroit Lions. Perfect mix.
I have another one too. I'll just throw it. I don't want to.
Sure.
You said you didn't do a player.
No, I did do a player.
Oh, okay. Then perfect. I have a coach.
Okay.
And this one better picture, but Mark Brunell.
Ooh. All right.
Just a little bit about Mark Brunell. He stopped working. And then he started working again. He was working at a high school, coaching a high school, when Dan Campbell called him. But what's more important is what he was doing off the field, Sean. Did you know Mark Brunell, successful set of Whataburger franchises?
Wow.
Yeah, so he's making some money. Did you know Mark Brunell also filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy?
Oh, really? Yeah.
2010. Why, you ask? Well, sounds like he got involved in some shady real estate dealings.
No.
Maybe some no-show projects.
Poor Mark Brunell. All right, Ryan, for mine,
But here's the fun fact.
Sure.
He was allowed to keep his Whataburger franchises. So
there you go. That's why you got to structure your stuff correctly there. Ryan, there is there's been a discussion about who to pick for these, who's got the inside information, who's prone to gambling. We've also said you have to be dumb enough to get caught. Now, I'm going to go with Jared Goff for my MLD, and the reason why is
so good.
He is a man who doesn't understand that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. He hates that people keep bringing that up to him. But if you don't know the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, do you know how to properly use a VPN or not access? And he's got a chip on his shoulder. What better way for Jared Goff to cash in? He's saying, "Oh, there are many media members of our media that easy time writing bad things and have for quite some time." Then we flipped the script. You didn't make the playoffs, Jared Goff, and they ran out of things to write. They weren't used to putting positive news out there. So again, the media has a hair up their ass to catch Jared Goff. They probably got some inside IT guys. He's just walking into a dead trap. The sun god is. Wait, does he know whether the sun god rises in the east or the west?
Probably not. He's a dumb guy. I think he's. Oh wow, and beautiful.
Yes, YouTube.com/sportsgambling podcast. I think Jared Goff went as Malibu's most wanted for Halloween, if I had to guess.
I like that one. That's a good one.
Well, sometimes you got to go big name because I think there is the narrative for Jared Goff here.
I think the idea that his buddy could be placing bets on his phone. It was easier to hook up the Apple Pay to deposit or something.
I mean, you just saw him in like Hard Knocks and stuff. He doesn't strike me as a super smart guy. So recapping the best bets, I'm 9-8, Kramer's 8-9, both like the under, both like Jared Goff 25-1 most picks, both like missed playoffs plus 140. I got fourth place division 6-1. Kramer's tossing in some Amon-Ra St. Brown 35-1 offensive player of the year, under 3.5 division wins plus 130. Our MLDs, of course, Kramer, the IT department, myself, Jared Goff sucks Island.
Yeah. Are we bringing it back this year for good?
We'll see.
Are we fixing the place up?
We'll see.
People have asked questions.
The 25-1 INT bet is going to be a fun one, and I have a feeling he could get off to a good start. Opening night Thursday against the Kansas City Chiefs. NFL season right around the corner. Toss us a like, toss us a 5-star rating review over on Apple Podcasts. That always helps us climb the charts, helps us take down corporate gambling. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. Get in over there. Get in for the win totals contest and weekly contest. We've secured an awesome prize for the NFL Week 1 Patreon Pick'em contest. So sign up now so you do not miss out on that.
Thank you for participating in the Sports Gambling Podcast.
For the Sports Gambling Podcast, I'm Sean, second the money green. He's Ryan.
Sorry, Lions fans. Let's go to Windsor.
Kramer, let it ride.